What if Cleveland already had their savior, and they're letting him rot on the bench? Not because he isn't ready, not because he can't play, but because the truth makes too many people uncomfortable. While the Browns juggle quarterbacks like they're auditioning for a reality show, Shedeur Sanders has been silent, watching, waiting. Not chasing clout, not begging for reps, just walking through the storm with the kind of calm that makes weak men nervous. But recently, he broke that silence. And what he said? It wasn't polite, it wasn't politically safe. It was a message to the coaches, to the fans, to the league. I'm done fighting. And just like that, the quietest man in the room became the loudest signal in Cleveland. This isn't just about a quarterback controversy. This is about faith in a firestorm, purpose under pressure, and a young man who refuses to let a broken system write his story. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't waiting for permission, he's pacing himself for destiny. And what comes next may be bigger than anyone expects. The Browns made their choice. Not because it was smart, not because it made sense, but because it fit their usual pattern play favorites, double down, and pray nobody notices the fallout. From the moment minicamp wrapped, the writing was on the wall. Dylan Gabriel got more reps, more praise, more of everything, except results. And nobody said it out loud, but everyone could feel it. Shedeur Sanders wasn't their guy. He was the outsider, the wild card, the one they drafted almost out of obligation, not belief. Even as the scoreboard screamed for a shift, games blown open either way, they still wouldn't put him on the field. Not in garbage time. Not in crisis. Not at all. Almost like they were afraid. Because once you see Shedeur in-game composed, strategic, unshakably cool, you can't go back. Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. You can't cling to safe and average when you've witnessed calm under pressure. And that's exactly what the Browns are trying to avoid. Clarity. They're spinning the same tired narrative about competition and learning the system. Meanwhile, Shedeur's sitting in meetings learning how to survive silence. And fans? They've started to notice. The tweets are louder, the questions sharper, and the answers from the front office? Still coded in the same vague gibberish they've used for every quarterback who didn't fit their formula. But the truth isn't complicated. They're not protecting Shedeur. They're protecting Dylan, the golden child they chose on draft day and tied to their reputations. But here's something the Browns need to understand. Choosing a favorite doesn't guarantee you chose the future. And Shedeur? He's not fighting for their approval. He's preparing for their regret. For weeks, fans were talking. The media was guessing. And the Browns? Stone cold silent. No updates, no explanations. Just a gifted quarterback sitting in the shadows while Cleveland kept playing their favorite. Then, with no warning, Shedeur spoke. No dramatic press conferences. No long-winded interviews. Just one post. Short, firm, and impossible to ignore. I'm done fighting. That was it. 4 words. But behind those 4 words, a storm. He didn't name names. He didn't point fingers. But he didn't have to. The message was loud enough for everyone in the building. For coaches still clinging to their decisions. For fans wondering when they were finally going to see number 7 under center. For every analyst who wrote him off before the pads even came on, it wasn't a tantrum. It was a turning point. Because when a player like Shedeur, known for his poise, his patience, his faith, finally draws a line in the sand, you better believe that line was crossed long ago. And just like that, the conversation changed. The silence wasn't just quiet anymore, it was calculated. And Shedeur? He stopped waiting for a fair shot and started prepping for something bigger. This wasn't a meltdown. This was a message coded in clarity, wrapped in restraint, and dropped like a mic in the middle of Cleveland's dysfunction. And the internet? It lit up. Fans went from curious to furious. Tweets turned into threads. Analysts started scrambling, trying to decode what "I'm done fighting" really meant. Done fighting the depth chart? Done fighting the politics? Or done pretending that faith requires staying silent? Either way, one thing was clear. The Browns weren't in control of this narrative anymore. While the internet went wild, Shedeur? He didn't flinch. No follow-ups. No clapbacks, no staged interviews to clean up the message, just silence. And silence? That's power when it comes from someone who knows who he is. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't built for viral drama. He's built for legacy. See, the Browns expect panic. That's their language. They understand tantrums, attitude, desperation. But what they don't understand is peace. Shedeur's calm? It's not fake, it's not arrogance. It's dangerous. Because peaceful people make chaotic systems uncomfortable. They can't be manipulated. They can't be rushed. And they sure as hell can't be broken. He's not posting cryptic Instagram stories. He's not sulking on the sideline. He's not chasing cameras, he's chasing preparation. Early mornings, film study, solo workouts. Not for show, for purpose. People think faith is weakness. But let's be clear, patience is a weapon. Silence is strategy. And peace under pressure? That's terrifying. While Cleveland's front office is busy playing checkers with quarterback reps, Shedeur is sitting there playing chess with his destiny. Not just waiting, observing, documenting, stacking every slight like film study. They expect him to explode. Instead, he studies. They want flash. He brings focus. While the coaches build schemes, Shedeur's building something they can't script. A mindset that doesn't shake, doesn't fold, and doesn't need the spotlight to shine. And it's messing with them, because how do you manage a player who won't respond to ego with ego? They try to box him into dysfunction. He walks around it with grace. Because Shedeur isn't trying to win just a job, he's trying to master the moment, so when it arrives, it can't be taken. It always starts the same way. A joke here. A side glance there. A few extra seconds of silence when Shedeur walks in the room. You don't need a press conference to know the vibe is changing. The energy in that locker room? It's different. You can feel it in the way players talk, in how reporters phrase their questions, in how certain teammates are suddenly more careful when asked about the quarterback situation. Because no matter what the coaching staff is pushing, the players know ball. They see the work. They see the poise. And deep down, they know. The best quarterback on that roster might still be standing on the sideline. It's subtle now. Whispers, nods, quiet respect. But the shift is real. Because real recognizes real. And Shedeur, he's not out there asking for validation. He's earning it every single day. And that's the part the Browns front office doesn't understand. You can't micromanage momentum. You can't bury a presence when it starts electrifying the room without saying a word. Players are watching the team's choices. And whether they say it out loud or not, they're reconsidering where their trust really lies. They've seen what happens when favorites get exposed under Sunday lights. And right now, even the most loyal soldiers are starting to ask themselves, how long are we gonna pretend the backup isn't the spark this team actually needs? And here's the thing, locker rooms know before the media knows. Before the coaching staff admits it. Before the suits upstairs even sense the ground shifting. The players feel it first. One look in the huddle, one rep after practice, one perfectly placed throw that doesn't need a press release, and suddenly, all the fake hype in the world can't compete with presence. That's what Shedeur's bringing. Not just skill, not just discipline. Identity. The kind of identity this team's been missing. Not loud, not flashy, just quietly magnetic. So while the Browns are busy scripting interviews and rehearsing coach speak, the locker room has already started listening to a different signal. And what happens next isn't going to come from a press room. It's going to come from within. From the outside, it looks like a setback. Benched. Overlooked. Ignored. But to Shedeur Sanders, it's setup season. Because this isn't punishment. This isn't politics. This is preparation. While the Browns try to control the narrative, Shedeur's been crafting something they can't touch. An unshakable mindset. A next-level focus. A destiny that doesn't need a green light to move forward. What's one thing every great story has in common? The delay before the debut. The silence before the storm. And just like that, it hits you. He's not being left out. He's being sharpened in the shadows. Every rep he doesn't get is just another log on the fire. Another reason the league's not ready for how this ends. He's not bitter. He's not broken. He's building. Quietly. Relentlessly. Because Shedeur's not just waiting on a shot, he's preparing to flip the whole blueprint. Every time he's passed over, the clock ticks closer to that moment on the sideline. Quatroth quarter. Lights too bright. Game too close. And the favorite folds under pressure. That's when the crowd starts chanting. That's when eyes turn. That's when the moment finds him whether the coaches planned for it or not. Because this story doesn't care about politics. Destiny doesn't wait for permission. That moment, it won't come with a warning. It won't be planned out in a depth chart meeting. It'll come loud, early, unexpected. And when it does, Shedeur's not walking onto the field to prove the haters wrong. He's walking out there to prove God right. That kind of faith? That kind of certainty? You don't get that by accident. You only get it if you've been through the quiet fire and came out walking in purpose. Because Shedeur isn't scared of the spotlight. He's just making sure it's bright enough when he finally steps in. The Browns are used to drama. They thrive on it. From controversial picks to constant coaching changes, this franchise has learned to operate on adrenaline and dysfunction. But what they've never learned is how to handle someone who doesn't play that game. That's why Shedeur Sanders threatens them. Not with his stats, not with some viral moment, but with something much, much deeper piece. See, you can't control a man who doesn't need your approval. You can't manipulate a player who's not addicted to clout. And when someone brings total calm into a room fueled by panic, people start squirming. Because Shedeur doesn't just play football, he walks with faith. And that makes him unpredictable in the most powerful way. He's not looking to clap back at the coach. He's not sitting on social media fishing for respect. He's not in the locker room whining about minutes. He's moving on purpose, waking up early, studying relentlessly, living like he knows how this ends. That's not an attitude, that's alignment. And for a front office that's always trusted numbers more than instincts, Shedeur's belief system is a problem they can't quantify. They've got spreadsheets. He's got scripture. They rely on scouting reports. He relies on something higher. That scares them. Because they don't know how to coach faith. They can't diagram out destiny. And when someone refuses to crack under pressure, refuses to beg, refuses to break, they don't have a playbook for that. While the Browns panic over every snap Dillon Gabriel takes, Shedeur sits steady. Not because he's passive, but because he already knows what happens next. He's not hoping it'll work out. He's trusting that it will. And that kind of patience? It doesn't come from the sidelines. It only comes when you've already heard the answer. And now you're just waiting for everyone else to catch up. Every system that's built on fear will shake in the presence of someone who lives in faith. And right now, Cleveland is shaking. You can feel it building. That crackle in the air before the storm hits. That quiet feeling in the stadium where something's about to shift, even if nobody says it. It's coming. And every person paying attention knows it. The moment Shedeur Sanders steps onto that field, it won't be a debut, it'll be a reveal. Not of talent, not of mechanics, but of alignment, of someone finally syncing up with the moment the world held back for him. Because here's what's wild. This moment isn't just going to knock on the door, it's going to break it wide open. Game clock winding down, often sputtering, crowd restless. And suddenly, the coach has no more cards left to play, except the one he's been avoiding this whole time. 7 walks onto the field, not hype, no theatrics, just focus. Calm, breath, silence. You'll see it in his eyes, not nerves, not ego. Clarity. The defense shifts. The camera zooms in. The booth goes silent. And every doubter in the building suddenly remembers, oh, this guy's different. One drive. That's all it'll take. Because Shedeur's not just coming in to put points on the board. He's coming in to wipe years of dysfunction off Cleveland's face. The first pass? Precise. The huddle? Laser-focused. The team wakes up like they've been asleep at the wheel all season. And the crowd? It erupts. Not because of hype, but because everyone will feel something they haven't felt in years, hope with direction. That moment when the cameras pan to the front office, that's when they'll realize they were never evaluating a QB. They were delaying the future. Because Shedeur isn't a maybe. He's not a developmental prospect. He's a moment of truth wearing pads. And once that gate opens, there's no going back. No more competition. No more, we're easing him in. No more hiding behind empty coach speak. Because when purpose finally steps into the spotlight, even chaos has to move out of the way. The Browns thought they were managing a quarterback room, rotating arms, juggling prospects, playing chess. They thought their politics could control the outcome, that their silence would stall a rising star out of sight. But purpose doesn't wait for politics to give it permission. Because this was never just about football. This was about identity, about composure in a world addicted to noise, about a young man who refuses to shrink to fit someone else's system. While the coaches debated snaps and reps, Shedeur was perfecting something far more dangerous, his piece. That piece wasn't passive. It was power disguised as silence, focused, fearless, faith-fueled. And now, it's ready to move. They say politics runs teams, but purpose runs legacy. And when it's time, no front office can stop it. No QB competition can delay it. No clipboards, spreadsheets, or pre-draft narratives can compete with something God ordained. Because here's the truth. You can ignore talent for a moment. You can control narratives for a season. But you cannot contain someone who's been called. And Shedeur Sanders isn't just next up, he's been ready. 10 steps ahead. Not chasing hype, just living inside of discipline. They thought benching him would break him. What they didn't realize is benching him just built him. Every snap he didn't take became fuel. Every slight. Every nod to someone else. Every delay. It all became scripture written in sweat. And when his moment comes, and it won't feel like revenge. It'll feel like correction. A divine reset. A soft-spoken thunderclap that turns the entire identity of this franchise upside down. Because Shedeur didn't need to prove anything. The proof was always in his presence. So when that camera pans down the sideline one last time, and he finally steps in, calm, composed, prepared, just know, this was never about competition. This was about timing, God's timing, and purpose always arrives right on time. So now, the whole world watches and waits. Some still doubt. Some still deny. But the ones who've truly been paying attention, they already know how this ends. Not with drama, not with revenge. With peace. With purpose. With power. Because when Shedeur Sanders finally takes the field, it won't be a surprise. It'll be the arrival of something the league should have prepared for. While Cleveland kept playing politics, he stayed grounded in patience. While coaches looked for control, he leaned into his calling. And now, the balance is shifting. The locker room feels it. The fans sense it. Even the front office, they may not say it out loud, but you can see it in their eyes. They know. He's not just a quarterback. He's the calm they never saw coming. And when he steps up, that stadium isn't just going to react. It's going to erupt. So, if you've been locked in on this ride, if you feel that shift coming, and if you believe that Shedeur's story is way bigger than a depth chart, then you're part of something special too. Because faith like this, patience this focused, composure this deadly, it doesn't disappear, it dominates. This isn't just football. This is a faith-fueled takeover. And we're all about to witness it in real time. If you felt this energy, do us a favor. Like the video, drop a comment, hit subscribe. Because the story, it's just getting started. And when it's time, you'll already know who called it first. See you in the next one.